So much to my chagrin, the Cubs do appear to be making the playoffs.
No fucking chagrin?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I'm serious. Chagrin.
Like dismay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like to my misfortunes.
It just seems like a very
Yeah.
Davey word.
I'm gonna Google
Chagrin.
I'm gonna Google it live on the show because you know
You got to. Like, I asked the question because part of me is stupid and doesn't know words.
I think all of you is
And then
stupid.
Dave's like, can
Your
I spell
mouse
it
click,
right?
your very
I can't.
vicious mouse click got picked up by the mic.
I'm an aggressive typer.
You probably didn't spell
Typing.
chagrin right.
I did not. A keen feeling of mental unease
Oh,
or
okay.
annoyance or embarrassment caused by failure, disappointment, or disconcerting event.
So to your chagrin, the Cubs.
The Cubs are appearing to make the playoffs. It's pretty much locked there. They've won 4 in a row. They're doing pretty good. Some would say. So with that being said, let's just jump the shark right now and say this rotation come playoff time. I know you guys have the concerns about the closing role, but let's just attack the starters for now. Mm-hmm. You've got 4 guys who could potentially carry this roster, whether it's Cole Hamels, Hendricks, Quintana, or Yu Darvish. Like, what do you feel this rotation is going to look like come the playoffs? Do you think that they're going to slim it down? Do you think that 4 is pretty steady? But if it's those 4, what order? Like, where are you starting at? Because I'm just saying, high stakes could be early on.
Yeah, it's been typical for MLB teams going to the playoffs to go to 4 for a rotation. Just mainly you want your best guy because through those 4 games, if you're hitting a game 5 in the ALDS, you want your best pitcher out there. So usually you're just going to throw him around. I think the guys that are for sure locked in this rotation are going to be Darvish and probably Hendricks. Although Hendricks has been struggling recently. You paid him, you extended him. He's been a guy too that when he's on, he gets guys grounding into easy grounders, easy pop flies. He's getting guys off balance consistently. What John Lester was doing throughout his entire career, but I think the biggest question mark out of the 5 guys of Lester, Quintana, Hendricks, Darvish, and Hamels, I think the biggest question mark this year has been Lester. His past 2 months have just been absolutely garbage. So to combat that, I think you at least need to have someone who can be a change of pace pitcher who isn't going to be, him and Quintana have very similar pitching styles. But I think you need a guy who has been on this team for a long time, was on that championship team in 2016. I think you need one of those guys in that rotation. So while it might not be Lester going to the pen, I do think Hendricks is for sure locked in there, and I do think Darvish is locked in there. Darvish has been their best pitcher since July. He's been absolutely insane, been limiting the walks significantly. I think he's only had like 3 walks in his past 250 batters. He's been dominant over, I think averaging 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's been massively important to this team over the past 2 months, and he finally seems to be living up to this contract that he received 2 years ago. I would assume that Darvish is going to be in there. I would say Hendricks. Then it's kind of up in the air for me, Ricky, because Quintana's been very good in the past 2 months, but he was the guy going to the bullpen last year. You look at Hamels. Hamels hasn't been consistent, but he does have a lot of playoff experience. Same with Lester.
Yeah.
And then if you're going down to those 3, Quintana, Hamels, and Lester, Quintana's been the best this year. Lester helped you win a championship game, and Hamels, obviously, he's been to a World Series before, won one with the Philadelphia Phillies. So I'm up in the air there, and Quintana coming out of the bullpen could be interesting.
Yeah, it really, like what you were saying about Lester, fucking sucks. And the reason why is he has been, the past few years, he's been the guy where it's like, okay, game 1, we're giving it to John. John's our guy.
Yeah.
And if I'm John Madden, like I'm trying to go or not, if I'm going into the mind
you just
of
said
Madden.
John Madden.
Yeah, I know, and I fucked that
You
up.
messed up. You mixed John Madden
and that's why I'm like,
John
that's
Lester.
why I'm
Joe
like,
Madden
plus,
and John Lester.
If I go into the mind of Madden, basically, he's going. I feel like no matter what, he's starting John Lester.
Yeah, Johnny's our guy. I
Day
can totally
one.
hear him saying that.
Yep.
But the thing, there's part of me that's like, do you go ballsy? Say, fuck it. You've been one of our best pitchers. We're throwing him out game 1. But here's the thing that concerns me about your locks of Hendricks and you. It's not that they're locks. It's I don't know if I want them being game 1, game 2, because they're both righties. Where I feel like it's going to have to be, let's say Lester is
I'm
number
not
4.
saying they're locks for 1-2. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
I
they're
know.
locks in the rotation.
You're locked in
Darvish is
there.
my number 1. Darvish is starting game 1 for me.
And
He's proven it.
And I'm not saying that you said there were locks for 1 and 2, but like that's my worry is you can't, in my mind, you can't pitch Hendricks and Darvish back to back because what's going to happen is, you're throwing another righty. I'm just going to stack the lineup with my guys who can hit righty pitchers. So like for me, I kind of almost
but they're not
think
playing back to back days. Like you don't have to keep the same lineup.
yeah, but like no, I'm not saying like the same lineup, but it's like okay,
You could switch the lineup up. I don't think it's too crazy to throw back to back righties.
I almost feel like you go righty lefty, but at the same time, you might be sitting there going, no, you throw your 2 best guys, especially like, and with the Cubs right now, I'm obviously thinking series wise, which if they're in a series, they're going to be on the road first. So you got road game, then your home game. That plays into it too, is who do you want pitching on the road? Who do you want pitching at home? But then also that wild card game. If we're playing the Nationals, do you want to like it comes into the territory of do you want to throw the guy who you think is going to be your ace in the postseason out there and then your second guy for game 1 of the DS? Because teams have done that where it's like, hey, we're going to throw this guy, save our ace for that game. And then it's like you lose. The fans go, well, why didn't you throw our ace out there? It was a do or die game. So, I mean, that to me is where the Cubs is who do you start and who do you put 1, 2, 3?
You guys are a smidge hotter, than the St. Louis Cardinals are.
We're only a game back right now.
Yeah, you're tight. You've won 4 in a row. Like, I know last 10 it's close, but I think that there's a chance you guys pull it out as far as...
And we play them 6 more times, I think? At least 3 more times the rest of this year, too.
I think the final...
It's 7 more times.
It's either
more,
the final series is against the Cardinals or the second final series.
Both. So it's from September 19th on. We got 4 against the Cardinals, 3 against the Padres, and then 3 against the Cardinals.
Okay, so they close
not the Padres.
season.
The Pirates.
Yeah, so
it's a P team.
They close...
We play the Padres September 10th to the 12th.
Yeah, they close the season against the Cardinals. I don't think it's... I'm with Ricky. I'm not even a Cubs fan, but I don't trust the Cardinals. Cardinals have been fluctuating up and down.
Yeah.
You could also make the argument that, hey, the Cubs clearly have been as well. They haven't been able to win a road game. They finally have a sweep against the Mets, on the road this year.
So do you feel like the wild card situation is going to play a huge factor, like trying to throw it all out there to end the season to secure that pass on the wild card game?
I think it wouldn't really throw a wrench into the season because last year I think it would just kind of go into... You look at what happened last year. You had to get the play-in game against the Brewers to see who was going to the DS or not, and then you had to play the wild card game. I think it would be kind of a... I think it'd be right if they played the wild card game, just because you couldn't prove it last year. You had 2 chances to win a do-or-die game, and this kind of gives the option to the front office of, can this team do it? Can this team go deep down within themselves to win a do-or-die game? And if they don't, you can make your directions and your personnel changes off of that game. And if you get into a DS, anything can happen, really. And if you go to 5 games, it's a close game, it could be iffy. But if you lose another do-or-die game, that's when the hammer's going to drop. That's when the guillotine's going to drop. It's going to start cutting off heads, no matter who that be. It's probably Madden. Madden's probably going to get the guillotine no matter what. Even if he wins the series, I think they're probably going to even lowball him contract-wise. He's currently making the most money. He's tied with Bruce Bochy. Bochy's retiring. They're not going to have the highest-paid manager. They're not like that. They know they can win without Joe Madden. Joe Madden is not the reason they're winning or have been winning. Joe Madden's a fantastic manager, and you're going to win more games without him. But you're still going to the playoffs with or without Joe Madden.
Yep.
I think, though, no, that's at least their thought process. They think they're going to the playoffs with or without Joe Madden.
Got it.
I think, though, if you're going into a wild card game, you have to throw Darvish in that first game. 3.25 ERA since mid-July. Been absolutely dominant. You need guy with swing and miss stuff in the playoffs. And yes, he might go out there and get tattooed for 7 runs or 6 runs like he has been. But he also has that ability to just shut down a lineup. Guy throws like 10 pitches. He can keep guys off no matter what. He could throw 97. He has this nasty splitter. He has this crazy slider / curveball. He has everything that you want. Swing and miss. He has great movement, great velocity. He has proven that he has finally come together and been your best pitcher over the past 2 months. And, you really can't say that he's not the only guy that has had those iffy startings. Kyle Hendricks just went out and gave up 6 runs, right? John Lester has been absolutely garbage. I think he's given up 33 earned runs in 50 innings. In the last 50 innings pitched, he's given up 33 runs. Quintana's been pretty consistent. So maybe if you do have a very left-handed centric team, maybe then you go, and this is against a wild card team. If you have a very left-handed centric team, then maybe you go with Quintana for that reason.
Yeah, I feel
but
like
if we're just
never
going,
loses a game outright. He's always just consistently there, and he'll keep you in a game.
Yeah, and he's really found he's gone away from his fastball being his main pitch, and he's really relied on his changeup and his curveball, and that was what his former teammate Mark Burley used to do. Yep. Mark Burley really rarely used his fastball, and when he was on, he was using his changeup like 40 times a game. So, and that's what lefties need to do. They need to keep guys off balance, and they need to keep guys out in front. And if it's in Wrigley, Quintana probably gives you the best chance to at least keep the ball in the ballpark. So I wouldn't be shocked if they went with Quintana game 1 and then weirdly enough moved him to the to the bullpen and had him stretch out as their 4th starter, because if you have Lester out there and he gets blown up, you can have Quintana come in and eat innings, but he can eat innings and probably keep this team to only 1 run through those final innings, and that's just going to give your offense hopefully the chance to come back. So I think if we were going into a wild card, it depends on the team, but if you had to make me pick one guy, I'd probably go Darvish. And if we're going into the ALDS, I would probably say Darvish first. I don't think you make a horrible reasoning to at least say throw a lefty out there, Ricky, but I would say Darvish, Hendricks. No. I think since you have 2 lefties and 2 righties, I think you do have to alternate them. So I would do Darvish, Lester. Darvish, Lester, Hendricks, Hamels.
I would almost, for me, the thing I'm thinking wild card right now, because we're not obviously winning the division right now.
And if season ended today, the wild card match would be?
It would be Nationals and Cubs.
Okay.
And the team that I said did not scare me.
And who just swept you at home?
The Nationals. Yeah. That's what I was getting to.
That was the point that I was making.
There was a comment where they're like,
Nationals.
oh, yeah, Nationals don't scare you. And I was like, I replied to that comment and went, yep, they put that. The last segment when I talk about teams putting foots in my mouth, the Nationals did that. Like, hey, Ricky says, I'm not scared yet. You swept the Cubs. I'm like, maybe I
should be.
Should be a little scared of this team. But like, looking at their roster, it almost doesn't matter if you throw a righty or lefty against them because they've got 4 righties, 3 lefties, and a switch hitter.
Well, even then,
so it's like
they have probably the best game plan when going up to the plate of any MLB team. They'll go up there and they will take 9 pitches in an at-bat, and they'll wait for their pitch. If you throw 2 strikes early, they're not getting panicked. They're just sitting there and waiting. They have an absolute superstar in Juan Soto out there. I think I watched some video by Foolish Baseball, and he was going through it, and I think Juan Soto is 19, and it was like through players who are 20 years old, these are the players that have a 400 OBP throughout their entire career so far up to age 20. It was Juan Soto. That's it. Baseball's been played for over 200 years or whatever it is. And one guy has ever done that. One guy, and it's Juan Soto. So, I mean, they have guys, even their young players, are already super mature at the plate. So, with them, I think you just throw out Darvish out there because he is the guy that can just frustrate you so much with what he can throw.
You're going to be going up against Max Scherzer in that game. I'm assuming the Nationals would throw out Scherzer in that game. He has
been banged up, so it's either Scherzer or Strasburg.
And with me,
even then you're fucked.
With me,
both those guys are studs.
Would you like bad or worse?
I'm gonna say we're not. We're fucked less with Strasburg, and the reason why I say that is the last game we played against the Nationals. Yes, Strasburg did strike out 10 of us. Yes, he did only give up 2 runs, but we did chase him out of the game after the 6th. We only lost that game in 11, 7-5.
Yeah.
Yes, it took us a little bit late to get that offense going, and this is why in a wild card situation, because it looks like we'll play the Nationals, I almost have the feeling of I'm kind of leaning towards a Hamels kind of duo in that game. I don't know which. I'd probably lean towards you to start because, like you said in the playoffs, like you, not you, Darvish. Like you said, Sean, You need to strike out people in the playoffs. You need that strikeout pitch. But when I look at it, Cole Hamels pitched the last game against the Nationals. Pitched pretty well. 5 innings. Only gave up 2 runs. Thing is, he wasn't striking many people out. He only struck 3 people out. My question is, who are you going to use as that first reliever out? And I think that's where the Cubs in the wild card game need to go. If you throw you out there, you need to have one of those starters like Cole Hamels. Maybe it's Quintana.
No.
Somebody to throw out there, because then I can let Hendricks pitch
That does feel
game
like a
1 of
Madden
the
move.
DS.
No, I disagree with that because I don't think it is a Madden move because we've seen him play wild card games before, and I do not think he's done that before.
Last year he went to Chavez out of the.
He did that in the World
pen.
Series. He did bring in Lester in Game 7, and it backfired. Lester blew the fucking game. So I don't think they go to a starter because I do think that they have arms in there that can be very difficult to solve. Clearly, your 9th inning guy is Craig Kimbrell. They signed him 3 years, $45 million. It's
gotta work.
That is your guy. But Rowan Wick has been fantastic out of the bullpen for them. I wouldn't be shocked if he was the first guy out of there. And even then, I know people hated him last year, but he's also had a turnaround, just like you, Darvish. Tyler Chatwood's been nasty out of the bullpen. And he's a guy that, he might not be. I know Joe's been saying we want him in length and we want him in long term. But if you have one game, you need the long term to continue. You use Tyler Chatwood. So if it is a close game and you might have a 1-run lead and let's say they chase you out in the 3rd inning or not the 3rd inning, the 6th inning, and you have 3 innings left and you're trying to bridge that gap and you need a guy to get out 5 batters, go to Chatwood and then you bring in Wick and then you go to Kimbrell. I think that could be the way because you're not going to Stroke. You're not going to Cishek because Cishek has been overused so much this year. He started off so hot, but then Madden just kept using him and using him and using him and using him.
Yeah.
And Kinsler has been decent, so I wouldn't be shocked if they, maybe goes out in the 5th. They have Chatwood eat up 2 innings, go to the 7th, and then you have just Kinsler come out, then Wick, and then you try to just build all the way out to your boy Keg Krimble. Keg Krimble
Try one more time.
in the 9th inning.
I mean, the thing though that I just have a feeling that this will happen. Same thing as last year, where it was like in the Brewers game. You look at Quintana. Quintana started that game, didn't pitch that bad. We lost 3-1. Then in the game against the Rockies, Lester's not pitching that bad. The starter actually looks good, and the Cubs only get 1 run. It's like, is the offense going to be here for this team? But
that's the thing we're talking about pitching.
The pitching is
the reason why this team is currently not winning the division is because when the pitching's on, the hitting's off, and when the hitting's off, the pitching's on, or whatever. And, it's always flip flop. And
I made this joke to Brandon too. It's so ironic that it's like when the rest of the Cubs team was on, it's like, oh man, you is sucking. Why does you suck? But then it's like, now you's like, hey guys, I'm on. And the rest of the team's like, nah, bro, we good.
We're just taking a break. Don't mind our bats.
So I think, at least to boil down the point, I think the rotation for me in the playoffs, I think
wild card or no wild card, or does it
I
matter?
already said wild card.
Okay.
I think it's
You're going
dependent on
heavy
the
on you?
team, but if
It's going to be Washington if you go. As of today.
As of today, but I think the
I
Mets
don't
are
think
the Mets are
Washington's-
like 5 games back now, but I think the Phillies are still close. It's not for sure certain.
The
that
Nationals are
there.
2 games up on the Cubs.
Yeah.
Then the Cubs have the 2nd spot. Phillies are now 3 games back. Brewers are 5, tied with the D-backs.
It's not for sure certain that the Nationals will be there. Their bullpen's garbage. So if that hitting goes cold, they can blow September.
Yep.
Same with the Cubs, but they could blow September, the Nationals. So I'm not going to slot in the Nats there. But I do think that if it is the Nats, go Darvish. He is the guy. He's got the most electric stuff. Go with him game 1. And then you have him for game 4 of the NLDS, which I'd be fine with.
Yeah, because then you can roll out, let's say, at that
I'd say
point.
Lester then. I'd say Lester game 1, NLDS, because that way you can get him out of the way. You could start him. You could still say, like, hey, Johnny's our guy. Hey, whatever.
Then it's Lester, Hendricks, Quintana. That's what I would think. Lefty, righty, lefty.
Yeah, I would then have Quintana and then Darvish, and then 5th game starter would be Hamels, I think. I think Hamels would not be coming out of the bullpen. Then you move. You probably then go to the 4-man in the CS and figure that out by then. But I would say you probably use all 5 starters in the DS at that point.
What about if we
play wild card?
What about if we win the division?
If you start in the division, then you go 4-man, put Quintana in the bullpen.
Okay.
And that way Quintana, again, like I said, he can keep you in games
He's your
if it's close.
emergency breaking case.
Because let's say Lester, he had the game against the Mets yesterday where he, I think through 3 innings, was up to like 60 pitches, where he only gave up 1 run, but he was already burning through it. So if he's not being
through a total
effective,
of 97 through 6.
yeah, 97 through 6. I think it was like 60 through 3. So he wasn't effective right away. If you see him shaking like that, you pull him, put in Quintana. And that's what I think you do. So that'd be my goal, and I would do if you win the division, Darvish, Lester, Hendricks, Hamels.
Ricky, what do you got for
And
your
then
I would
final
say
run?
Darvish game 5.
for the DS, I'm gonna say I throw Hendricks out there game 1. I throw you out there game 2. I save Lester for game 3, which may sound crazy, but we're gonna be on the road. I want Johnny to be totally in his element, coming in, playing at home, having that hometown crowd behind him. And then if we're going 4, I'm going to say dealer's choice. Hamels and Quintana, you can go either or, and then you'll have a solid guy in the bullpen.
The worst part is that if you do go with Darvish,
And he blows it.
well, no, if you do go with Darvish game
Yeah.
1 or game 2, you're pitching in LA where he just came from and looked absolutely horrible when he was with the Dodgers in the World Series. So, I mean,
Well, if
you
we
have to trust him for what he's been doing, but
If we win the
winning.
division, we'd play Atlanta.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. If we win the division, we'd be in Atlanta
Anyways,
game 1, game 2.
Okay, yeah, because then game 4 would be, would game 4 be?
Yeah, it'd be Atlanta, Chicago,
No,
Chicago,
but
Atlanta.
game 4, if you win the wild card, would it be?
If we win the wild card, we go to LA.
It'd be LA, Chicago, LA.
Yes.
Okay. I'm used to NBA. Wasn't NBA 2-3-2?
2-3-2.
Yeah. Which was always so stupid.
It's weird. I mean,
I
I could
always
I
always
could
thought
always
it should've
just
been
look up
2-2.
like
Yep.
a couple of years ago. So in 2017, yes, it is 2-3-2 because we in 2017
What? 2-3-2? It doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
because
that's
in-
6 games.
in 2017 NLCS.
DS.
The DS is 2-2-1.
I'm saying if you win the wild card and go to the DS.
yes, the
and
DS
play the
is
Dodgers.
2-2-1.
Okay.
The CS is 2-3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
on that amazing confirmation of those are the games.
That's it. Well, no, I was just trying to see if Darvish was going to pitch in Chavez Ravine.
Oh, okay.
Because that is the biggest test for him.
Yeah.
Can he go up against the best lineup in baseball
Yep.
in a hostile crowd, and a crowd that he absolutely just choked in
And that's
the
gonna be
last
hot.
time it was the playoffs?
Only
That
if he
is-
doesn't pitch the wild card game.
That's a movie fucking script.
Yeah.
Does not get more fuckier than that.
That is asking a lot out of Darvish.
If he pitched game 4, he wouldn't pitch game 7, right? Or game 5? No, because that'd be the DS. Fuck it. I'm already
Yeah, if he
thinking
pitched game 4,
NLCS
he's
for the
done.
Dodgers.
You're writing yourself all the way there.
No, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
usually
like,
we make
that's an
it.
exact movie script because
Usually.
either Darvish gets fucking obliterated 10 earned runs in 2 innings, or he throws like 9 innings, 15 Ks, has like
2 hits.
just right behind Bob Gibson for most strikeouts in a postseason game. Like that's the movie script. It's either
What if
he
I
gets
told you?
blown out of the fucking
Yeah.
water. What if I told you Darvish signed a 5-year, $178 million and got the shit kicked out of him in LA
Year
again?
over
Or
year.
what if I told you this guy started off his first year injured, pulling his back on mid-August in 2018, and Chicago wrote him off, and then he sucked again. But then in July he was back, and then he has to go up against the vaunted Los Angeles Dodgers, and he wins or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
30 for 30 guys, way better than I am. Shocker. Anyways, you want to end it?
Yeah, and on that note, Cubs, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to ask it.
Yeah, local Cubs fan Dave Oster.
Local Cubs fan, huge Cubs fan, just historical knowledge.
Big Cubs guy.
All of it. What are the odds that these guys actually make it to the second round of the playoffs?
Are you saying
40?
the DS
I'm
or
saying-
the CS?
I'm saying they
The
make it
CS.
into the CS.
You think they make it into the CS?
I'm saying,
No,
do
Sam,
you
what's the
think?
percentage? I'm going to say 40%.
that's too high. 30.
It may be, but that's the
So-
homerism.
So, as
Well,
a
see, it
homer,
depends.
we're still setting the expectations pretty low. Like, this is not a championship team as you see it.
Well, it's
If you're telling
Don't give
me,
me well, it's not.
they haven't been consistent enough.
if you are giving me $100 to bet a team on the National League to win the World Series, I'm putting 80 on it on the Dodgers, 20 on it on the Braves, and I'm putting $0.00
That's what
to the Chicago Cubs.
Just National League teams or American League teams too?
Well, I'm just playing like their chances of winning the World Series. Well, they're not even winning the NL, so I'm not picking them.
Yep. That's what I was hoping for. Just a final note to just bring you back to reality.
Yeah, I mean, the Braves will be the tough test. I don't think, like, the farthest we get this year is the NLCS if we do. But I don't even think we'll get there.
Atlanta doesn't have the strongest rotation. They try to bolster their bullpen at the trade deadline. It's kind of worked. Shane Green's was bad, and then they turned to Shane, and then Shane's been good.
We'll also see what this team looks like with
Melanson's
many of them, like young team, their first playoff experience.
They were in the playoffs last year, weren't they?
I don't think they were.
Yeah, they were.
I thought they missed it.
They won the division.
That's right, they did. Never mind. I completely. I thought they were a team that missed the playoffs last year.
No, because everyone was like, they're going to regress. I'm like, why the fuck are they going to regress? They're good. Like,
they're very good.
They have Ronald Acuna Jr., who might be the second best player in the well,
That's
he might not be the second best player. He might be the best player in the league in like 6 years.
That's why I forgot, because they ran into the fucking Dodgers, and it's like why would I remember that series? They won a game.
That's why I'm putting $80 on the Dodgers to win the NL, because they're going to win the NL.
They're
and
monsters.
If they don't, hopefully I can win $100 on whatever the fucking Braves odds are to win the NL. Anyways, that wraps it up for this segment on Cubs starters.
You're
the host. You gotta end it
for this rotation.
End it strong.
Should they make the playoffs? Even if they do make the playoffs, set those expectations low, because as you heard it from Sean and Ricky and myself, they ain't winning shit.
What's the next segment?